Welcome, everyone, to the City of Middletown Planning Board, September 4th, 2024. Planning Board meeting, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Quick housekeeping for our transcriptionist. All board members are present except for Ms. Hewson. We have Sixto Martinez representing the DPW, and we have Mike Guattari representing the Middletown Fire Department. Rich Krogan is the planning board attorney. All right. Moving on to our agenda. We have approval of August 7th, 2024 minutes. I need a motion. Mr. McCormick, I need a second. Mr. Madden. Discussion? Roll call. Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. McCormick?
Yes.
Mr. Brito?
Yes.
Ms. Witt?
Yes.
Mr. Higbee?
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right. Just so we all know, we're still on the same agenda. I just want to point out, anyone here for the first time, appearance is considered a preliminary hearing, and the planning board may or may not choose to act or vote on that application tonight. Okay. Back to the agenda. First up, I'm going to murder your name, so I'm sorry. I apologize right from the very beginning. Franz Bien Amini and Savara Flumand? Flumand? You take that? Okay, well, I'm proud of myself then. 107 Academy Avenue, an eating and drinking establishment. Please step up to the mic, please. And give us your name for the record.
Smarva Florimond.
And what you plan on doing this evening? What's your plan as far as?
Well, I am representing the restaurant,
Okay,
the plan for the restaurant.
okay, that's fine. Ms. Tu, do we have the mailings? Okay, then I'm going to open the public hearing. Anyone present wishing to speak on this application, please step forward. Board members, any questions, comments, or concerns?
Just for clarification purposes, it's just not a restaurant, right? Because aren't you doing retail on a portion of the premises as well?
When you say retail.
Shipping?
The Western Union.
It's not really shipping, it's just money transferring. So it would be computerized, basically. So
Okay,
nothing
but
is
you're going to be
being-
doing that in a portion of the restaurant?
Right, just like an additional service.
Okay.
We have that included in the resolution, by the way.
Are the hours going to be the same on both?
Absolutely not, no. Because for the money transfers, I believe 8 to 5.
8 to 4, according to your
Yes,
application?
8 to 4, and the restaurant is open later than that.
Right. We have your restaurant being open, according to our conversations, Sunday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Of course, everything will be subject,
8 p.m. to 1 a.m.?
1 a.m. Of course, everything will be subject to SLA guidelines. That's the State Liquor Authority.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, board members, any questions? Yes, Ms. Witt?
So I just have a question. So are you having sort of a convenience store added on to your restaurant? Or is it a restaurant and then you say, if you need this service, we'll provide the service for you?
We don't have a convenience store.
It won't be a convenience
No,
store, okay.
No, it's
Okay.
a restaurant, and, the CAM transfer, it's a possibility. If there's any issue with it,
No,
we'll
I'm just
take
I'm
that.
just asking
Yes.
what your vision is, that's
It's
all.
being done in a separate room. Like, we have
Okay.
3 separate rooms, so we open in a window that's gonna be facing the restaurant.
Okay.
And someone can just walk to the window, and you'll
see.
receive that service if you wish to.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I thought, my understanding was somebody was going to walk from the street directly into Western Union, not come through the restaurant into Western Union?
We are required to open the window that's going to face the street, but considering that it could be cold outside, I don't think the service could be like a outside to the window service. It would have to be into the restaurant, into the window.
Why do you have to have a window? Why can't the person come in the door that's allotted for your Western Union or your money transfer business and come right inside?
We can do that.
Well, we would prefer that. We don't want to intermingle your businesses, restaurant, money transfer,
Transfer that.
safety issues, just in a restaurant.
That's understandable.
That's why I'm not so sure. Are you fully aware of how this was drawn? I mean, there's been conversations, correct? With you and the
Yes.
building department,
Yes.
right? So I want to make sure you fully understand what the building department and the fire department is going to expect when they see this drawing, okay?
Okay.
Right.
Unfortunately, I was at work when they came in for the inspection
Okay.
the first time.
All right.
But I did see some of the recommendations, and we are open to do whatever it's needed for us to, you
Okay,
know, have business there.
fine, that's good. Also, on your revised plan, you gave us a plan in the very beginning, which was perfect, because it was pre-engineered, it was ready to go, it's been approved in the past, by the way, so it was ready to go. You've made a few changes, or, it's okay. For your parking alongside the building, you want to add some parking, fine. Some of the parking that you want to add can't take place, all right? There's 2 spots in front of your Western Union office that can't take place, okay? So I don't really want to hold you up this evening, so it's probably going to happen here, and if the board agrees, we'll make this a subject to a final approved site plan, okay? And the DPW and the fire department is going to determine that. I've had discussion at length with the DPW how we expect to see this as a planning board, okay?
Okay.
Just so you know, I just want to be upfront with you, that you're going to see a few changes to your layout, okay?
Why don't we let the board know and the applicant what you're thinking?
I can do that.
Thank you.
I can share with them the plan. How's that?
I'll take a copy if you, yes.
That way we're all on the same page. And I'll give you a
Okay, so this is the revised plan that you guys want, or is it the one we provided?
All right, I can go up there, can't I, and talk to the mic?
You can.
Okay.
That's the one we provided.
The chairman's going to come over
Okay.
and explain to the rest of the board and you as well.
Okay.
I'm going to lean in a
That's
little bit
very-
so I can speak into the mic.
Sure.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to be very close together.
Very nice.
Yeah, no problem. These parking spots right here, along the side of the building, are okay to add,
Okay.
okay? Because somebody's cleaned this up very nice, they did a nice job.
Yes.
This one, by the proposed plan that was approved a month ago, years ago, whatever it was, is okay to stay also. These 2 here are not going to be approved because they are over here. Yep.
Okay.
Did Mr. Brito give you that pen?
They just handed it to me.
Yeah, nice guy. Cross this one out, that's by the plan, not there. This is ADA or handicapped.
He's talking this one and this one.
Okay.
Keeping this one.
This is.
1, 2, 3.
And those are.
Those are the ones by the plan that you can have. Mark them 1, 2, 3, please, so you don't forget them.
On the original was approved.
Is this okay?
Okay.
Yeah, this would,
This will be the way in
there's
to your facility, only the way in and only the way out,
No.
into the Western Union.
Oh,
This is your restaurant right here,
okay.
okay?
Okay.
All right? You're gonna end up building a wall and a door here so that we don't want any of your patrons in the restaurant coming through your kitchen for
Okay.
anything, okay?
There is a door.
Well, yes, they drew it in there today.
Okay.
Just-
Okay.
This door can stay, but this is gonna be for staff only.
Yes.
You have to put a sign on it, because we don't want anybody coming through.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And if there's a problem here, it's a means of egress in case of emergency. Same way, that's why we have all these doors going out.
Okay,
This door can stay, we don't care, because this might be your kitchen staff going in and out, kitchen staff, don't care.
Okay.
Number of tables will be determined by square footage and occupancy, state law. The Middletown Fire Department and the DPW will tell you how many tables and people you can have.
okay,
The old store was only allowed 15 people, okay, and that was it. That includes your bar and your tables. You can't change that because that's the amount of square footage that you could possess. That's how it goes.
15
Yeah,
for a restaurant.
turn the tables over as many times as possible. You get the approval, you can set this up. I mean, after the approval, if you don't think it's going to be a viable thing for you, we're not here to force you to do anything. We want to make sure you have full knowledge of what you're doing. That's all, okay? We don't want you to get into a violation situation, because
Right,
why?
I absolutely don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
So that's basically what we have done here, okay? And even the plan that you submitted originally has the same notation on it, about how many employees, how many people you can have, how many seats you can have, and how many restaurants you can have. That's the number, max number is 15. It's on the original plan you set.
So the maximum occupancy is 15 staff.
No, don't go there. Okay, you're allowed 15 seats,
Sit
table,
at.
yeah.
Okay, 15 people that can sit at.
Right.
But if we have customers going in and out, pick up,
Oh, that
is
doesn't
that
count.
okay?
No, yeah.
Okay,
The business before you was a pizza place. Had like 2 tables, because their business was come in, out,
In and out.
in, out,
Right.
in, out.
Right.
Okay, actually after that was a smoke shop, but that's a different story altogether.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, we just want to tell you, that's kind of what we're looking at, and we're going to probably ask you to revise this in a clean form. Get rid of this stuff, okay? This is your original submission. Okay, that's how it was originally approved. There's a spot right here proposed for your employees. That's the one I'm saving right here.
Okay.
And then whoever cleaned this up did a good job. You got 1, 2, 3 additional spots there. Okay?
yes.
All right, this is your original submission. In fact, this is probably a very small print here, but that's what it tells you, the same exact thing I just told you. Okay?
And there's no way we can increase the amount of people that we can have sit in. We have a bar that we just built.
Well, that includes everybody. Yes, there's another way, but I'm not so sure how we could do it.
Okay, and you said that the deciding factor of maximum occupancy is based on square footage, not the parking spot?
No, by square footage of your building.
Square
Well, it's by
footage.
square footage of the dining room.
Right.
The calculations actually bring the dining room area.
Just make sure you're speaking into the mics.
So the calculations actually bring it to the square footage of the dining room. And then with the square footage of the dining room, there's calculations with tables. And with the tables, it brings it out to a certain number. Then per that number, there has to be certain amount of available parking spaces for that number. So in turn, the parking spaces and available spots actually bring the number down to that 15. So that's your really biggest holdup there, is the available parking for the customers, employees, clientele, anywhere.
I have a question for you, Mike.
Go ahead.
That being said, they do have some off-street parking.
We do.
It's a zone in which that we have some discretion. Not a lot, but some. So, yeah, you're kind of restricted.
And we have public transportation. We have a city bus that rides right in the front, and
Well,
we have.
we don't even consider that, to be honest with you. It's not in the code to transportation, take it into consideration.
On a Friday night, it's people are coming to join. Most of them is going to use Uber, so I think that's Uber is only drop off.
Well, that's fine. That's good for you because your parking spaces will be limited.
Right.
whether on the street or here. And if they decide to take Ubers or other transportation, that would be to your benefit, because they could come to your establishment and not worry about parking.
But we also don't want to be in a violation with, maximum occupancy inside the facility.
Even though we don't have a
you
lot of
guys.
cars parking outside.
Right,
So that's another issue.
right, because our plan is not to disturb the community with traffic problems and things like that. We're not opening a club, a nightclub or anything like that. It's just, a spot where someone can grab some Haitian food and enjoy a beer at the bar, but it's not, a party place or a nightclub. We applied for those hours just to give us a stretch, like if we there too late, so we're not in trouble with the town, but we're not intending to open until 1 a.m. So, it's.
Well, Mike, if they did away with Western Union, does that open up the square footage to allow them more occupants?
The calculations right here is for the sit-down clients, restaurant customers. The Western Union would just be an in and out, takeout, almost like a run. It's calculated differently, and it doesn't affect the actual sit-down.
Okay, well, that's,
But if they added more square footage,
No, that's, if they were to add more square footage to the restaurant, it wouldn't calculate to the available spots. Like, you're only allowed to put so many people in a square footage, regardless of how many tables, if you will, or clientele or whatever. We're still pulling it back because of the available parking. I apologize, I'm still trying
no,
to get this
basically,
going.
so if
But-
Western Union became a restaurant,
or part of the space?
part of it,
Right.
it would increase the square footage, but the size of the lot and the square footage, or the parking in the lot, would still restrict the number of occupants that could be in the building.
Correct, it's not gonna, if we added 10 feet or 100 extra square feet from the Western Union, all that would do would bump up the actual availability numbers, and then they would just get brought back down to the original 15 anyway, because that's the allowable spaces for parking. The parking is the real main issue here. If you're looking to sit down, that's how it has to get calculated. If you're looking for a takeout business or a quick in and out, which is, I believe, how the other businesses were, they're not designed to sit down, so the spots and everything aren't going to be taken as long, if that makes sense.
I understand.
Right.
I do understand what you're saying, and thank you for explaining it so well, but we do have off-street parking right on, what's the name of that street? Kenum?
Janon.
Janon. Yes, we do have off-street parking. There's a couple of handicap spot I saw like on the street. They're marked, labeled, like where people can park. There's the next street, like behind us where we parked when we first saw the
And
place.
we could look into that, I understand that, but I'd also think that the handicap spots put in front of those residents were designed
For
for the
them.
residences there, unfortunately. The other thing, my concern would be, I don't believe there's very much parking on either of those streets, being at such a busy intersection. We can go back and absolutely look and come up with a understanding there, but yes, it's on a street, but they're both very limited in parking.
Parking on Janong is only on the, going up
Side.
the hill.
Right, that one
It's
side.
not on the other
Yeah,
side, yeah.
you're right.
And I believe there's a couple different two-family houses in there, so I believe they're using them
They're
also.
using them.
so.
They're using a lot of our parking spot right now, but we're not open yet, so that's okay, but they all park there.
And by all means, when the business starts, you can contact the local and
Was there a question over here?
I just have a question. Could they use the parking that they want to designate for the employee parking as being customer parking that's on their plan?
We don't differentiate between.
You
Parking
can't
is-
differentiate between, it just has to be parking per se?
Parking is parking, yep, we don't designate, yep.
Okay.
I just find it to be very difficult to afford, the rent, the utilities, and everything that comes with running the restaurant on, a budget of 15 people. That's like, let's say $12 per plate, even if we bumped it up $20 per plate. We're not a guarantee a flow of like, 10 people per hour. It could be, just busy in the afternoon or, early in the day, and then we have downtime where you could go a couple hours where you only have one customer. So I just find it very difficult. I'm thinking, it's gonna be very hard to be able to run a business there and be successful, to be able to pay for everything on 15 people. Again, I understand what you're saying. It's like 15 people sitting down. We might have people coming in and out. It's just might. We're not guaranteed. So if we could have more people, let's say if we do like a special, griot night, let's say, and we could have, maybe 20 people, 25 people sitting down having, a meal. Because 15 people, that's just our family. We have 8 in the family, but just him and I and our 4 kids and their girlfriends, and we 8. And our mother, my mother, his mother, that's 10. We basically can't even have a gathering, a family gathering, to invite some friends with 15 people. 15 is just, to
Okay.
me, it's like saying you can't really do business
Well, we
without saying it that way.
We understand that, but unfortunately, we have to go by the code. And it's a New York State square footage, how its occupancy is determined. There's nothing saying that if you want to step back and think about this, we have no issue with that. We can adjourn this, and we can have a meeting with you, discuss your possibilities, but right now, that's what you'll be tied to. I mean, the reason why you're here for a public hearing, if we adjourn it for future consideration, it won't cost you any additional money to come back. But that's the reality that you're faced with.
I understand. Thank you for giving me that option, but for us, it's not really realistic because we already paying rent. We paid for August, we paid for September, we're already paying rent, $2,500. We paid deposit. That's already, $10,000 towards the place, and an additional $12,000 that we investing into everything else, and $22,000 already gone from what we saved to open the business. So now we're looking into getting a loan because we're already in the contract for 5 years. So we have to do something with the place. I don't think, delaying it further is gonna work in our benefits.
Well, in order for us to discuss that further and how we could possibly figure out how you get more square footage and get more tables, we would have to adjourn tonight and sit down with you and talk about it, because right now, that's the position we have to take,
I understand.
okay?
So,
The one comment about if you did away with your Western Union and you made it more restaurant space, but that still would need a discussion on what occupancy would be and how it would affect the parking.
so,
Or if we approve you tonight, you go with what we have and you try to make a go of it. Yes,
Well-
Mr. McCormick?
Can you just clarify, is it the square footage that is holding them back for their occupancy, or is it the lack of parking?
It's kind of both. It's a relationship between the two that's,
So knocking down a wall just hypothetically speaking, taking down the Western Union Wall
Yeah.
and making it one giant room wouldn't
It-
theoretically do that much more for them.
Only thing it would do,
Mike, I think.
yeah, go ahead.
So if you knocked down the wall and made the restaurant bigger, you would allow more clients or more customers of the restaurant, but it's already being scaled back due to the lack of parking. So unfortunately, it's being choked, and then even if we opened it up again, it's still going to just bring it back down to what's allowable regardless.
And this is not an area where we could waive parking?
Well, there is, it's not the DMU.
Okay.
Well, and-
But there is street parking, like they
Correct.
mentioned, and Mill Street behind it, and,
Yes, if they want to redo their interior plan for additional square footage, we have the discretion, if they need, I don't know, 3 more parking spots or 4 more parking spots, we can vote to okay for the additional square footage, even though they don't have the parking, because there is street parking. But we'd have to have that on a plan. We just can't say, do it. It's just, the way the code works and the way we have to vote on things.
I think we'd also have to look, though, as Mike had pointed out, there's some handicap parking, two-family, that we're accommodating them as well.
Well, to keep in mind, too, I don't want to step on Mike's toes, but when a handicap sign is put on a street, okay, whether the intention was for the person that lived in that house, well, if no one is parked in that spot at that time, that ADA sign allows anyone with the proper credentials to park in that area. So if there's ADA spots on the street, they're available to anyone with the proper credentials in their car.
To the public.
To the public, yes. They're not owned by the house or the person who happened to initiate the signage. Okay? So, yeah, so that's a possibility. So you'd have to come back, redraw this, we'd talk to our inspectors, and then the board would have to say to themselves, okay, look, it's only 3 or 4 spots, they have on-street parking, okay. Yes, Ms. Witt?
So hearing your concerns about what your contract is right now with your rental agreement and your mortgage and all that, what would be a good timeline that we could give them as far as coming back and coming up with a second plan? Would it be,
Next month.
okay, so I
Yeah.
think that needs to be clarified so they are feeling better about,
Just keep in mind, whatever additional space you have there, you may only gain 5 people, 7 people. Just, I don't know what number you have in your head for your business, but you might not be able to achieve it in this small space. That's a business
I had
decision.
a picture of about 30.
Okay,
Well,
You might have to modify.
might have to modify that
Yes.
number.
obviously,
Yep.
yes. Okay, so.
Do you have a comment, Mike?
So if I could just real quick do the calculations here, it would allow, the restaurant itself would allow the dining area here. If you do the calculations, it gives you 39 people total. However, and this goes back, so the restaurant itself there would give you 39 people. If you added the restaurant, it would bring it up, obviously. But with the parking, it cranks it all the way down to 15. So it's the parking it's the issue. It's not and it's the parking with the tables, where you're designed to actually have clients and customers sit down and stay.
Right,
It turns it into a longer, more parking required.
yes.
So that's the main thing. If they were standing up, if they were coming in and going out, then it would be calculated differently, and that number would go up. But to actually have a restaurant, and see, that's the thing, what you're looking to do is have a restaurant, a sit-down restaurant. That's where the calculations come in. If you were looking to do a different type of business, like the previous business that was in there, I believe was a smoke shop or something else, the occupancy is calculated completely different because they're in and out, and they don't stay nearly as long.
If they had a counter, like a diner would have a counter, is that different? Would that give them more?
It would,
more of
it
an
would be
option?
calculated, but it would be,
About the same?
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
we're really talking, when it gets cranked down to like 15 like that, even if you were to add one or two more spots, like you said, you might get 5 more people. It's,
Right.
it's not.
So that would be a decision on your part, if we're spitballing and say 5 people more. If you took Western Union, you might get 5 additional people. Now you're down to 20.
No,
No, you-
I apologize, I don't mean to, but you can add the square footage,
Yeah,
but it's still choking it down because of the parking. So
Correct.
even if, and I apologize, I don't mean to,
no, go ahead.
whatever, but even if you added more square footage to the restaurant itself, it wouldn't help with the clients. They're looking to put tables in, correct?
Right, because
Or
right
a
now,
counter or
How many,
something like
how many
that.
ideally customers, how many are
Yeah,
you
that
looking?
might- that
Like,
might
how many
help.
are you looking, like, right now, if there was a magic wand, how many tables or how many customers do you want to be able to sit?
ideally, I would say about 30.
30.
Because we have the space. Going back to your suggestion of knocking down the wall, combine the Western Union
It doesn't.
into the restaurant, we have the square footage inside already. Right now, it's going to be, with 15 people, it's going to be a big, gigantic, empty place with, very few people sitting around, because we
Okay.
have the square footage. So going back to what you said before I forgot, so what if we revise our business plan and change it to like a buffet style type of restaurant, like where people can take the food and go? If they choose to sit down, they can. They're not, it's not.
A buffet style would also be a sit-down, correct?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. They can take the food and go, they can choose to sit down. It's up to the customer. We're not going to be sitting people down formally.
Mr. Madden, you had a question?
Thank you. Mike, if they had seating for 30 people, that would require how many parking spaces? Do you know that?
I'd have to do the calculation and take out the code itself. What I did, when I did the calculation, there's a chart on the thing.
Okay.
No, based on that, this is what I was trying to talk about before. If Western Union goes away and it becomes part of their restaurant, they gain X number of people. No?
Well, they do, but they don't need to. But they don't need to gain them. They can have 39 people now without Western Union. With Western Union
How
right
can they
now.
have 39 people now?
Because
And that square
they-
footage of 500 square feet? 550?
It's 594 square feet
Okay,
total approximately.
They could put
And
30
they-
people in
they
that
could- they
space?
could- If
39.
39?
it was,
In the DMU.
if it was in the DMU and it was open area, like whatever. But then when you bring in tables.
Oh, that's what we're
it
talking
crank-
about.
When you bring in tables and when you bring in parking, it cranks it down. So,
As it's currently configured, not talking about parking.
Right.
How many people could they get?
as it's currently configured right now, we can get 39 people in there
With tables?
with tables and everything.
I'm not following that at all.
It's the parking that pulls it drastically down.
So the
I
parking
I
is the
can-
deciding factor? I'm
The-
sorry.
Unfortunately,
39
yes.
people. 550 square feet.
So in other words, if you have 30 people and they currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spots, right?
You're talking-
So we would only have to waive parking on whatever, half
We
a
don't know
dozen
that
spots.
number.
But is that something you could look?
Yeah, I'm sorry, say again one more time. What-
Exactly Mr. Madden's question. How many parking spots would 30
Right.
people, restaurant plus
And
staff?
we'd have to take the calculations there. I don't have that exact number in front of me.
Because I don't imagine we're going to be waiving that many parking spots.
Well, I guess my point is, depending upon how many people we're talking about, it's like 5 seats for, or once, I'm sorry, 1 parking spot for 5 people, something like that, 5 seats, give or take, as far as that's what our code states, all right? So do we want to allow a dozen cars on Genung Street besides the parking they have? Do you want to allow 5 cars on Genung Street? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're getting into a very dangerous
But
situation.
isn't there also just a parking limit that's posted as far as how many hours you can park?
No, it's not. And if it was, we wouldn't be concerned with that because the patron might come in and spend the amount of time that that sign says and move on, and the next patron behind them.
I guess my question is that if we offer already on-street parking that's available to anyone in the city, whoever wants to come by,
Correct.
then they should also be able to benefit from that for their
Well,
restaurant.
technically, we're not supposed to figure that in, technically.
I'm not saying we should, I'm just saying for anyone in the city to be using parking.
Yeah.
It should be for anyone to be able to use. So that shouldn't really be part of this whole discussion because anybody can park on the street.
Correct, but this part of the discussion is there other parking available to them? If you said right now, they're allowed 40 people, 50 people in this restaurant, but the parking that they have on their lot is not adequate, they are going to go onto the street. That's our discretion. They're going to go onto the street and park.
Right.
How many people do you want parking on that street? If there's only, 1, 2, 3, if there's only 6 spots here, and I don't,
But that's taking, and forgive me, but that's taking into account of a probability that nobody can figure out, because, I mean, then you're talking about the traffic flows of what time of day you're talking about, how many potential cars are gonna be traveling down, down East Street. So I don't understand how you can figure out how many cars potentially would be coming in, going out.
We can't.
For a day.
it's just a matter of our discretion, how many do you want to allow them to be over in their parking? That's our discretion. I'm sorry,
We have
Mike?
to be careful of creating their own hardship as
Right.
well.
Something else, Mike?
And I apologize to just throw this in here. It's dictated by the New York State Code through the occupancy. It's an occupancy, it's going to be a restaurant, which is the occupancy. And then when you bring in the tables, that you do the square footage, you calculate the square footage of the sit-down restaurant area. And then once they bring in the tables, that's another calculation. And then with those tables, you get the actual occupancy. Then the occupancy of those crank down from the people to the tables. Now, the tables and the people all require parking. And that's how it is calculated, if I could just kind of bring something to that, how it's,
I get it.
because it's a restaurant, because it's a table, and because it's there, that's all in the New York State Code.
Mr. McCormick, you had a question?
Just in terms of possibly waiving parking or on-street parking, I think we have to be mindful of the people the residents who live there, who are not currently, no one's here at the public hearing, because I think before this exact moment, your business was confined to your property, and by opening it up and possibly waiving parking or allowing on-street parking, I think that you'd have to provide another opportunity for the neighbors to comment on it, because what might have not have impacted them at all, now would have.
My point exactly about how much overflow you want to have discretion on. That's why I say it that way. Well, the problem is, we don't have to know how many. We have to know how many tables are going to be provided and how many parking spots will be required and how many they have. That anything.
That's what I mean, but we
minus
don't know how many are required for 30, right?
that- Well, no, we do. It's
No,
in
we
the
don't.
code.
Yeah, but nobody knows what the code is.
But we can figure it out.
We do know.
Figure it out.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, it can be
no,
figured
Nobody
out.
knows at this exact moment.
Well, because we've gotten muddled between tables and occupancy and the whole 9 yards, but I'm going to tell you that for every 5 seats, you need 1 parking spot. That's the code in the
So
restaurant.
then they have enough, then they have ample parking, because they have 8 spots,
Right
right?
now, they do, yes.
But 8 times 5 would be 40.
No, they really have, well, yeah, he just added 3 spots.
So they have enough for 40.
But the thing
40.
that stops it is the square footage with the tables and how many people you can put in tables.
Oh, he said you could put 39, and they want 30.
I
that's where
said
it goes
that-
bad.
That brings it gets scaled back to the 15 because of the parking.
Yeah, but if it wasn't for the parking, in that, you could put 39 people.
It's a vicious circle.
Yeah,
No, but it doesn't seem like a circle at all, because they're less than what he's requiring 39. He's saying that there can be up to 39 people. They're only wishing for 30. Then you're saying that the code is 1 spot for every 5 people. They have 8 spots. 8 times, that's 40. So it's within code, it's my math.
But the
well, I think that's determined by the fire department, fire code,
The 30 people.
what their maximum occupancy is allowed. And Mike has said that it's 15. So,
Based on the parking.
yes.
But now that they added these 3 spots, parking doesn't
Well,
seem to
I
be an
think
issue.
that was already in the calculation.
The fire code was 39,
Right.
yes.
And they have 8
39,
spots.
maximum occupancy for the fire code.
So the 39 is solely for the square footage of the restaurant with tables in a restaurant,
Right.
Based on the fires.
based on there. And then when you figure the parking, it gets scaled back. So if we want to move, what I suggest is we sit down and discuss this further with everything here, and I don't think we're far off, but we can do this.
It sounds like
in a
time is
meeting.
of the essence with them. I mean,
Right.
it sounds like another month is gonna put them in a
Right.
hardship.
That
And it
would
sounds to me
really
like they're
hurt.
within they're within the guidelines. They want 30, they're looking for an approval for 30. The fire code
But
says they can
Dan,
have
The
39,
fire department's saying no, that they're 15.
based on parking.
Yep, that's what we have to go by.
That's where we're stuck at right now.
Now, we can't move away from that
Right.
without potentially having a meeting, coming up with how the drawing should look. And yes, it is another month, but it could be done by next month, unless you want what the fire department is saying tonight of 15.
Excuse me, is there an avenue, Rich, over here?
I'm sorry?
That they can open at 15 and come back at a later time after a discussion that says we're now going to expand it?
That would be an amended site plan.
Yep, they could come back, you're
But they
correct.
can be open
For 15.
as soon as possible, starting it, getting their name out there, et cetera.
Yep.
And then they
Start
can
their
come back.
marketing.
That seems like,
That would be the best.
It's a viable solution.
I got you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And then what the building inspector, Sixto, and I had suggested, we did a site plan, or a site visit this afternoon, and we suggested that they contact a design professional and actually have a drawing made up with parking, and they'll be able to do the calculations as well. So we can look at that, and if that's already engineered and already set up, then would be just like this, where it's already
But you could
done.
do that for future consideration.
Right.
And be open, if the board, it would obviously have to go to a vote, and then you would come back with an amended site plan, and you could take your time doing that if you'd like,
Okay.
to make sure it's exactly as you want.
Just have to go through this process one more time, that's all.
Yeah,
But you'll be operating, you'll be in business.
Yes, I really was trying to save everyone's time by just trying to see if we could figure this out right now, but we'll take that. Because we just want to be, going and have the door open and, like you said, get our names out there, try hopefully building the customers and things like that while we working on the revised plan.
Okay,
Yes.
I think the board is okay with that. I think we can move forward with that process.
Yeah, we
Just a-
still have the public hearing open, so you'd have
Yeah.
to go back to the public.
I'm going to close it, the whole 9 yards. All right. So now we've had adequate discussion.
Wait, I think the applicant has something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just have one last question. In the process of us revising the plan, what if we want to, let's say, not do the sitting down restaurant anymore? We want to do the buffet style that would, are we allowed to like change the plan, or we have to go by this?
No, it would be an amended site plan, so you can change it any way you want. You can go to full gourmet, or you can go to a takeout.
But you have to-
But that's an
they have to-
amended
They have
site
to
plan.
open as per this drawing, this plan.
Yes.
Well, they have
that's
6
the
months to
question.
open.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, she
Okay.
wants to go sooner than that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
6
All right.
months for the building permit.
You can see how your clientele goes also, you know?
I can see what.
You can see how your clientele works
Right,
out, you know?
right, and see what would be best for the community. Okay.
Okay. Then I'm going to, since no one's here from the public, I'm going to close the.
Well, I
need a
think
vote
you
to-
have to go back to the public
Okay.
first.
Go back to the public. Anyone wishing to address this application, please step forward. No one stepping forward. I need a motion to close the public hearing. Mr. Brito, second, Mr. Madden, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on to the resolution for 107 Academy Avenue, eating and drinking establishment with a money transfer business. I need a motion. Mr. Madden, I need a second. Mr. Brito, discussion. Roll call. Mr. Madden.
Yes.
Mr. McCormick.
Yes.
Mr. Brito.
Yes.
Ms. Witt.
Yes.
Mr. Higbee.
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right, get started.
Thank you all. Thank you,
guys.
everyone, for your time. Thank you for the hard work. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I need a motion to adjourn. Mr. Brito. Mr. Higbee. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Madden.
Yes.
Mr. McCormick.
Yes.
Mr. Brito. Ms. Witt.
Yes.
Mr. Higbee.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you all.